How did a legendary, untouchable Wall Street kingpin manage to steal $50 billion from the smartest minds on Earth, while an ordinary, hardworking citizen lost everything without ever buying a single share of stock? Jordan woke up, reached for his phone, and tapped the screen to clear his morning alerts. A bright red breaking news notification caught his eye, and it instantly made his blood run cold. The headline was screaming across every major network. The elite, rock-solid investment fund where his entire life savings were parked had just frozen all accounts. Effective immediately, Jordan sat up straight in his bed, staring at the screen in absolute paralyzing shock. He didn't just lose a couple of bucks on a bad trade. He was looking at a complete total wipeout. Jordan had spent decades working a regular, exhausting day job, skipping vacations, saving every single cent, and sacrificing his youth just to build a secure future. And now, with a single refresh of a newsfeed, that future was completely erased. The screen told him his balance was zero. The comfortable paradise he had built for his retirement had vanished into thin air overnight, leaving him holding a completely empty bag. To understand how Jordan got trapped in this nightmare, you have to look back at how he managed to slide his humble savings into the most exclusive financial circle on the planet. Years ago, Jordan didn't trust the wild volatility of the regular stock market. He wanted safety, he wanted consistency, and everyone in the high-end financial districts kept whispering one name: Bernard Madoff. Madoff wasn't just some shady back alley broker working out of a basement. He was a financial wizard, a literal Wall Street deity, and the former chairman of the NASDAQ exchange. He was the establishment. When Jordan finally got an introduction to place his hard-earned cash into Madoff's fund, he felt like he had won the lottery. Madoff looked Jordan in the eye and promised him a beautiful, flawless dream, a steady, completely reliable 10% return every single year. It didn't matter if the wider tech market was crashing, it didn't matter if real estate was tanking, and it didn't matter if global economies were bleeding out. Madoff's fund always went up, linearly, perfectly. But behind the mahogany doors of his elite penthouse office, Bernard Madoff was running a total ghost operation. He claimed he was using a highly sophisticated, ultra-secret split-strike conversion strategy, buying large cap stocks and hedging them with complex options, contracts to mathematically eliminate risk. It sounded brilliant. It sounded scientific. In reality, that strategy was a beautiful, completely hollow black box. Madoff wasn't buying a single share of stock. He wasn't executing a single option trade for Jordan. He wasn't even connected to the actual market trading floor. The moment Jordan's hard-earned cash entered the building, Madoff's team didn't route it to an exchange. They deposited the money directly into a private Chase bank account. Then, they went to work on a cheap laser printer, manufacturing completely fake, beautifully formatted monthly statements. Jordan would open his mail every month, see his balance growing perfectly by 10%, and smile, completely unaware that his rising wealth existed entirely as ink on a useless piece of paper. This is exactly where the grand financial loop took this massive lie and transformed it into a multi-billion-dollar monster. As Jordan bragged about his perfect returns to his friends, the word spread to the highest echelons of global wealth. Giant international hedge funds, multi-million-dollar charity organizations, university endowments, and European elite investors started begging Madoff to take their billions. The machine ran with flawless precision because of one simple rule of liquidity. As long as new money was flowing in through the front door, the old money could easily walk out the back door. When an early investor occasionally asked to withdraw some cash to buy a mansion or a yacht, Madoff didn't liquidate stocks because he didn't have any. He simply reached into the massive vault of fresh cash that Jordan and the new hedge funds had just deposited and handed it over. It was a self-reinforcing illusion of unmatched liquidity. The brand new deposits propped up the old payouts, making Madoff look like an absolute financial god, while the actual vault containing the global elite's wealth was completely empty, holding nothing but fresh air, empty promises, and a massive ticking time bomb. Jordan constantly wondered how the official government watchdogs and federal investigators could let this massive multi-billion-dollar machine run for decades without ever blowing the whistle. The dark truth is that the system wasn't asleep, it was actively looking the other way. Bernard Madoff wasn't just a market participant, he was the establishment itself, deeply embedded in the very regulatory committees designed to police him. When independent analysts and rival traders looked at Madoff's flawless performance charts, they immediately knew the math was impossible. unbelievable. They handed detailed, comprehensive reports to the regulators, explicitly proving that Madoff claimed to be trading more options than physically existed on the entire US market. But every single time a warning was filed, the blindfolded watchdog simply nodded, checked a compliance box, and buried the evidence. Why? Because checking the books of a Wall Street kingpin is bad for business, bad for the markets, and bad for your career. Instead of protecting ordinary people like Jordan, the regulatory safety net acted as a giant protective shield for the biggest fraud in human history, wrapping it in a thick layer of fake institutional credibility while the hidden costs kept piling up. And that's when the hidden trap of the corporate financial network truly begins to tighten around your neck. Think you're safe because you haven't handed your money over to the wizard in the penthouse. Think again. The system has created a massive pipeline designed to automatically feed the monster, draining your resources through an endless cycle of institutional layers. Annual fees, transaction fees, management premiums, skimming the cream, subcustodial fees, margin expansion, audit compliance to crush trust, feeding a fund of funds, storing irrefutable evidence, sucking money out of your pocket while they push the dream. Jordan's bank branch took his retirement savings and invested them in a reputable local wealth fund. This local fund paid a hefty placement fee to a Swiss intermediary fund. A Swiss intermediary fund automatically funneled billions directly into Madoff's empty vault, seeking an easy and steady 10% return. Millions of ordinary citizens who had never even heard the name Bernard Madoff, who had never read the fine print, and who thought their money was safely tucked away in low-risk government bonds, suddenly found themselves completely defenseless against this scam. The system effectively turned the global middle class into unwitting insurance policies, forcing everyone to finance the Wall Street illusion without their knowledge or consent. The beautiful, fragile house of cards faced its cruel final judgment when a massive global economic crisis hit the markets as a whole. The housing bubble burst, stocks collapsed, and a wave of absolute panic swept through the financial system. Suddenly, hundreds of elite hedge funds and panicked investors rushed to Madoff's office at the same moment, desperately trying to withdraw a massive $7 billion in liquidity to save themselves. But remember, the vault was completely empty. There were no shares to liquidate, no options to sell, and the new wave of investor money had completely dried up. Within 48 hours, Madoff's secret Chase bank account was empty. The heavy mahogany office doors were locked, the FBI surrounded the luxurious penthouse, and ordinary Jordan was left staring at a completely blank screen, representing decades of erased human labor.